I'm wondering, either the priest or the deacon, whoever's doing the homily, I sometimes say, depending who's doing it, that they begin and end with making the sign of the cross. I'm not quite sure why that is being done.
Well, I can only speak for the Mass that I say, the traditional Latin Mass. The homily or the sermon technically is not part of the Mass. And so by making the sign of the cross at the beginning and the end, we're it's almost like it's delivered a little thing inside the Mass. In the old days, they used to deliver the sermons after Sunday Mass. If you can believe it, they were about an hour, sometimes longer. People would go to Mass, they might go home and come back for the sermon in the afternoon. And that was only maybe 100 years ago. So if you can imagine, we went from an hour or more to now maybe 10 or 15 minutes. I believe that in the Novus Ordo that the homily is actually part of the Mass. And so that's why I think normally you don't see it within the Novus Ordo, but in the traditional Mass, it certainly is, it's appropriate to do it because kind of a little ceremony that's being brought into the Mass. Tidbit here for you. A homily is usually preached about the gospel or a particular scripture passage, whereas a sermon can be preached about any topic. So there's a difference, even though we kind of use those terms interchangeably. We like sermons because there's so much teaching that you can do.
Right, indeed.
Father, I want to know, what is your division there? Like, is it 50-50 homily, sermon? Is it 70-30? What are we looking at?
I'd like to, I think it's about, I would say it's about maybe 1/4 homily, maybe 2/3, 1/3. But then if I actually go back and look at my sermons, maybe it'll be totally different. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we also try to weave in a little bit of, even if we preach a sermon, and we like to tie it into the gospel of the day, or at least the epistle. Sometimes you notice, though, when a priest is trying to do that, sometimes they kind of cram the foot into the shoe and just make a little, and I guess just so that they can say they gave a nod to the scripture. But strictly speaking, I guess it's maybe not as cut and dry as I just said.